Alright, so today I am looking at the Urza's AI Discord under their best of section and taking some of my favorite cards from there and talking about them. So this is why it's the best of Urza's AI. Anyways, the first card I want to talk about is on the screen, but before we get to it, make sure you like this video, press the like button. If you like the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that very much. And let me know what you think about these cards in the comment below. The first one we have is Necro Blossomancer, which by the way, I absolutely love that name. Necro Blossomancer. It's a perfect name. It's a vampire shaman. You think it'd be a zombie shaman with the name, but it's a vampire. Whenever a creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. That's an insane ability. I love this. It's played in like an aristocrats deck. Sacrifice a creature, just put a counter on every creature you control. This is really good for like afterlife creatures, where like when they die, you get 1/1. So yeah, I absolutely love this card. This card is really sweet. Flavor text: How to play a corrupted airwolf. Eats and eats to survive, but it will only be a matter of time before the devious little mind is bored. I guess it will. What's an airwolf? Is that like a werewolf? By Nikia of the Kofsant. Have no idea who that is, but cool card nonetheless. All right, next we have Dog, Bestest Boy. I love this art. It's such good art. And it managed to make it a legendary creature. I guess the name Dog with the comma, the AI was like, yes, legendary creature Dog, Bestest Boy. 2 white white for 3/3. Bestest. If this creature isn't your best, sacrifice it. I love that. I love that. That's amazing. But of course, it will always be the bestest because it's the bestest boy. So it'll always be bestest. But foretell 1 and a white during your turn. You may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its foretell cost. I love this. This is sweet. Only dogs are really great. I love this. This is absolutely cute. I could imagine someone running this as like a commander. A little Renensary already exists, but I absolutely love this. Not the best mechanically, but it's one of the best things I've seen from the AI, honestly. The next card I thought was found that was cool was Ratul, God of Rats. Ratul, God of Rats, 3 black black, legendary planeswalker, rat. Enters with 4 loyalty. I haven't seen it make any like planeswalkers before, so it's really cool that we got to see it make a planeswalker. Maybe below when you can do advanced options, you can write in planeswalker, but that's cool. +1, create a 1/1 black rat creature token. With when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. So you make a token, protect the God of Rats, and it also, can gain life if you need it. And it's -3 though. You get an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. That's a really good emblem. Just imagine like a mono black deck, and this is your top end. You play this, you -3 to get the emblem. All your creatures get +1/+1 Death Touch, and then from the future turns, you +1. You make your 1/1 rats. They are 2/2 rats with Death Touch. And your opponent really can't interact with emblems. So this card is really sweet. I love it. And the art, I just feel like the art's a little cool. I like the colors in the background. I don't like that he has no eyes though. That's a little bit strange. I don't know how I feel about that. Um, the ideal setting for our gods is the dank. I love that. I absolutely love that. It's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. Not as good as Bestest Boy, but it's still a great card. All right, next we have Talos Guildgate. I don't know what a Talos is. But it's a guild gate, and it does things. It enters the battlefield tapped. Most gates do. You can either tap to add white, or tap to add blue or black. So already this is a Esper Triland, so it's already playable if you're playing an Esper deck because there's not really many cards that tap for 3 mana. So if you're playing, this would be a great an Esper commander deck, or even like a modern deck. You might play one of these. But the second ability is really good. Talas Guildgate becomes a 2/2 white and black bird creature with flying. So you just tap it to add mana and becomes a 2/2 white and black bird creature with flying, which seems really cool actually. I don't know if this is an upside or a downside because like it's tapped because you tapped it to add mana. So it's already tapped when it's a 2/2, right? So it's only going to be a tapped creature. Um which is kind of weird. But I guess an upside is if you're able to untap it, you have a 2/2 bird creature flying from your guild gate, which is really cool. Or a downside is that now if you activate it as blue or black ability, your opponent can just kill it with like a lightning bolt or a doom blade. No, can't kill it with a doom blade. Can kill it with a lightning bolt or any other sort of removal spell, because it's now a creature and they basically stone range you. So it's a little bit of an upside if you're able to untap it and get a 2/2 of flying, or it's also a downside because you now can lose your creature, which is very bad. I assume this would be in a if there's ways to untap lands, but a lot of those are green. Did I play 4 colors to make this card really worth it? I don't know if you want to play 4 colors just for a 2/2 white and black bird. I don't know how good it is, but I like the idea that, if you can have like something like a Voyaging Satyr or a Kior's Follower that can untap the guild gate, you get a 2/2 with flying and the mana. You can use to get more mana, or you can use to attack with the flyer. So it's interesting. It's a really interestingly designed card, and I know there's like maybe like blue ways to untap things. So you could play like Tinker and like tap for blue Tinker. Now you get a 2/2 for basically like 0 mana. That's pretty decent. I don't know. I think that or not Tinker, Twiddle, where you can untap your land, not Tinker. Tinker's the one that lets you get artifacts out. But I think there's interesting upside and interesting downside to this card, and I think it's really clever design. I wish Magic would do something like that, but of course it could potentially be very broken. Card number 4 is Jin Locket for 3 mana. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. This is actually an interesting design. It reminds me of Brawl, Chief of Compliance, and Goblin Electromancer, except those are creatures, so those are pretty easy to kill, but those are also 2 mana. If this were 2 mana, 100% I would play it a million times in Storm. 100% play it. But being that it's 3 mana, it kind of gets harder to play. But the effect is pretty strong, and I don't think there's anything else like this. Maybe there is, and I just don't know about it. But it reminds me of like the medallions, except it's all instant and sorceries, not just a specific color. So it's really interesting. If this were 2 mana, I would definitely play it. But 3 mana is kind of shaky, honestly. It awaits a spell you know she won't know whether to activate the highest ability she can think of. What? It awaits a spell you know she won't know whether to activate the highest ability she can think of. Okay. That makes sense, right? I like this card. It is an interesting card, though. Definitely, it reminds me of Primal Amulet. It reminds me of Primal Amulet, actually. It's similar to Primal Amulet, except 3 mana instead of 4. Yeah, I think you might play it in addition to that in like a commander deck, like Red Blue Spellslinger, definitely. All right, this next card, it didn't have a think on hers is it. Next card, Trentor, Windrall Lord. 1 white. This creature card, I saw this. It's really sweet. Legendary creature, Elder Vampire. That's already really sweet. The idea of like an Elder Vampire is really, really cool. Because it's only for dragons now. To have it for other creature types would be sweet. Trentor, Windrall, Lord's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. Already a strong ability. If you have like tons of tokens, if you're playing this in like an Edgar Markov commander deck, all the tokens you get from the vampires, this will be a really big creature. But its secondary ability is insane. 1 white. Exile another target creature card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. That card is insane. This card's insane. So like, you can just use cards that like rummage or cards that mill just huge creatures into your graveyard. Like I'm just imagining things like thinking about white black like Sun Titan or just like big creatures, Platinum Empyrean, Blightsteel Colossus, just huge things like that, and then pay 3 mana, exile it from your graveyard, and create a token copy of it. That seems really good. And just the idea, like there are you can do this as many times as you want during your turn. It's not just once per turn. So you have like 3 creatures you want to exile, you just exile them all and create tokens of them. But also you can do that in response to like, so let's say you're playing like a Eldrazi Titan, those hit the graveyard, force you to shuffle back in. But in response to those, that shuffle ability, you could pay the 3 mana to exile it and create a token. So you can just create a token as a copy of Eldrazi, which would be really sweet. Like I just imagine you play turn 1 mill yourself, turn 2 um, get like preferably creatures that mill yourself. Get turn 2 get another creature that mills yourself, or a faithless doing something. Turn 3 play this. Turn 4, one of the big creatures you milled, exile it, create a token that's a copy of it. That seems really sweet. This card's awesome. I wish this card were real, definitely, 100%. Might be a little too good, but I think it's pretty strong. I mean, it's easy to remove as a creature. It doesn't have any like hexproof or anything. It doesn't have any evasion, so I think it's totally fair. All right, next we have Ezr Soul of Thieves. 3 white creature human cleric. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. Okay. So it really like benefits you for playing like flash creatures or instants. As long as you have 10 or more cards in hand, you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. What? That's just an insane ability. I mean, you have to jump through a hoop because you have to have 10 or more cards in your hand. So you have to be casting spells during your opponent's turn to draw a card. You have to have like something like Reliquary Tower. Yeah, like Reliquary Tower or Thought Vessel to keep the cards in your hand. And then you can cast them without paying their mana cost. This is really sweet. But my favorite thing about this card, as long as you have 20 or more cards in your hand, you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. It's the same thing as long as you have 10 or more. It's just on there twice. I absolutely love that. I love the art, by the way. Sweet art, and it's a 3/4, so it dodges lightning bolt. It's 5 mana though, but you can if you pay this for 5. So like, let's say you already have Reliquary Tower and you already have 10 cards in hand. You just play this on turn 5 and you just cast your hand for free. That seems really sweet. It's just an awesome card. Okay, next card. Uh, Wizard Overload, which I love that name, by the way. 2 and a blue, and this is a really sweet looking art. Counter target spell unless his controller pays 2. So it's kind of a weak counter spell already, but if that spell is countered this way, copy that spell and you may choose new targets for the copy. Oh my god. This is a really awesome just counter spell that lets you basically gain control of an opponent's spell. So like they cast something, like they cast like Expropriator, they just even cast like a Cultivate or something. You counter it and then you get it yourself. Oh my god, that's really sweet. I wonder how this works with creatures because like if they play like a creature, and then you counter it, do you get to copy it and do you get like a token copy of that creature? Because that would be amazing. Just like 3 mana, oh, I counter your creature, and now I get a token copy of it. That would be sweet. I don't know if that's how that works, but it'd be sweet if that was how it worked. It might be how it works, because I know you can make copies of creature spells of Mirror Pool, so maybe. It's Slayer text. At the center of this world, in the depths of Ulamog's Tree of Wisdom. Okay. I didn't know Ulamog had one of those, but he does. Stands the vast base of Tar's Minotaur army. Okay. So Ulamog is in control of the Minotaurs now. That's a great thing. Nothing can go wrong with that. All right, this next one is really cool, and this is going to be the next to last one. It's a Latinamel of the Blind Eternities, a land creature, waste elementals. You just play it. It's a 0 mana. It's like Dryad Arbor. You put it in the field as a land. Now this does not. No, this does tap for mana. It taps for colorless mana because waste. It's a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an on-land card from it. That player puts it on the battlefield. Dude, this is a really sweet design. Now, a 0 mana 4/4, it's pretty good. Pretty broken in like modern. I don't know how good it is in like other formats like Legacy or Commander, but in modern this card would be insane. But the downside is that like you look at your opponent's hand and you choose an online card from it. So if you look at their hand and the only non-land card they have in it is a Primeval Titan, they get a Primeval Titan. Or if their only non-land card is like an Eldrazi Titan, they get an Eldrazi Titan. This would be very bad against Amulet Titan. But I just think this is cool. And the downside of this is, possibly your opponent might just have like a only big things in their hand, or you might be playing against like something like Burn. They only have little creatures. Do let your opponent get a free thing, but you do get a 0 mana 4/4 as your land play for turn. This is a really sweet card. I absolutely love this. I think it might be a little too broken. It might be too broken for most formats, but this is really sweet. And I love the idea of this card. I could just imagine like you could search these up with Primeval Titan as well. And if you know your opponent doesn't have anything good in hand, like you already thought sees them or something, then playing this is just a free spell seems crazy. And by the way, it says choose a non-land card from it. I assume it means non-land permanent card because from the way it's written right now, you can reveal their hand, choose an instant to just put in the graveyard because the player puts in the battlefield. It can't go on the battlefield to go in the graveyard, right? So that's just insane. That's just insane. I assume what it meant to say is non-land permanent card. Choose a permanent card, a non-land permanent card from it, and they put it onto the battlefield. That seems sweet. It's a little interesting downside, and it's a really powerful card. I like it a lot. All right, all right. This is the last one. 3 and a blue. Draw 7. Sorcery. Draw 7 cards. Then discard 7 cards. I love this. I love this so much. so like, I mean, it's interesting card. I mean, at first glance you think, oh, it just puts the top 7 cards from your deck into the graveyard for 4 mana, which isn't the best. However, if there's anything in your deck that cares about drawing cards, like Niv Mizzet Perun, then this gets like 7 triggers of it. You draw 7 cards, hit them for 7 with the Niv Mizzet triggers, and then discarding 7 cards. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Playing like a Madness deck or cards that you want to discard, it could be interesting there. So this is a really interesting card. It seems like very niche in what decks it would go in. But decks that either care about drawing specific cards specifically, like just like mass draw, or like have effects when you draw a card, or cards or decks that care about having cards in the graveyard or discarding cards. You would see this in, but most decks would not play this. But I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. I don't know if there's any like I just imagine like maybe um at some point Wizards will print something that says you can't discard cards, or if there's like an enchantment that said you can't discard cards, and you play this, draw 7 cards for 4 mana. That seems pretty fun. But yeah, I like this card a lot. It's interesting flavor and interesting like design. I love the AI is like, oh, you want me to let you draw 7 cards? You're gonna have to discard 7 cards. But also like you can do this in a kind of a fair way because you draw 7 cards. If you already have cards in your hand that are bad, you can just discard the bad cards and keep the best cards out of your top 7, depending on how many cards you have in your hand. Like if you're playing control deck and like you have like 5 or 6 cards in hand, drawing 7 cards will just let you get the best of the top 7, and then put dead cards away or cards you want in your graveyard. So it's a really interesting card. The flavor text says the sergeant would never suspect me of not caring for the soldier's comfort. Now I see that the sergeant does not believe in my power to inspire devotion. Interesting. By Vecta, Master Wizard. Interesting. So, anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you like the best of Urza's AI. I might do another one of these because I like these because you get like really interesting, really high quality cards, while when you do it yourself, get some stinkers sometimes. So, anyways, let me know what you think in the description or in the comments below, and check out my other videos. I also play like Modern a lot and sometimes like Pioneer, so if you like those formats, check those out. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.